Welcome to our home. I'm Joe Ward. This is my wife, Joanne, and we're delighted to have you with us. We want to tell you about our new home and the motivation and philosophy behind it.
We looked for several years for a lot that would meet the needs. It had to be south-facing exposure for solar panels and some open space so that we wouldn't get shaded, things like that.
Our motivation for doing this is, frankly, we feel that we have a responsibility to care for this earth that we're all a part of. Well, how do we live easy on the earth? And that's been driving us for the project.
Well, my name is Erin. I'm with Cedar Creek Energy, and Cedar Creek handled the solar panel design and installation on the home. We start each project by looking for the perfect place to place solar. And in this case, it was great. It was really easy. Sala Architects designed the home with solar in mind, so we had a really great south-facing blank roof. That's always the obvious place to start placing solar panels in Minnesota. We want that southern exposure. And then the pitch of the roof is a 612. And so that also works fantastic for solar, kind of letting the snow melt off the panels in the spring and sliding off in the early fall. We happen to be in Excel energy territory here, so there are some additional programs that homeowners can get involved with to hasten the ROI for the investment on solar. With this home, it will easily offset what we believe the electric usage to be, even with an all-electric home. I encourage everyone to take a look at solar from a dollars and cents standpoint, and also just having in mind what you're going to be, what you're going to be doing in your home and energy prices over the next 20 years. It is an investment, but it's going to have a great return, and you can feel really great about, sharing with your children, and the next homeowner is going to really reap the benefits as well if it's not your forever home. You're using the space that you have to do something for the environment, offset your own carbon footprint, and that's what's really important. We're here in the utility room where the electric panels are, and we just wanted to kind of break down the system for you and kind of get your perspective on why you made some of the choices you made.
First of all, when the power goes off, and it does go off, sometimes for short periods of time, your whole house goes down, your heating unit, your fridge, your freezer, the food starts thawing, all of that sort of thing. People buy generators now for thousands of dollars to avoid that in some new houses. Well, there's a new way to do that, and it's called a battery. And when you have a solar system, for example, from Cedar Creek, and done a marvelous job with this, the solar system works when the sun's shining. However, when the sun goes behind a cloud, or it's a cloudy day, or it's nighttime, or whatever, the snow falls and you get a temporary coverage of the panels. Then what? Well, the battery is taking power in when the sun's shining, and first it powers the house, then it charges the battery, then when the sun's shining it sends power to the grid at retail rates. Excel Energy, the utilities, through net metering, pay you the same price that you pay them. So you're selling it back to the utility. Now, however, and we did an experiment the other day, the technician from Cedar Creek was out, and he said, should we throw the brake in? We did. Joanne, my wife, was working inside the house. She never knew what happened.
Yeah.
It was just,
instantaneous.
It was transparent.
Yep.
It was transparent. So this is our backup generator. Somebody asked me, do you want a battery backup sump pump? And I says, no, we have a battery backup house. And, thanks to Cedar Creek and a lot of other partners.
Great. So one thing to mention, I think, is planning space, right, for these elements, because the Tesla batteries, and really most of the batteries out there for the residential market today, are going to need to be in a heat-controlled environment. So if it's in a garage, you need to have some heat in the garage. And then, proper clearances around the gear. We will work with you on that. There's a second Tesla panel on the way, a Tesla battery that will stack just in front of this one. So they are stackable this way. They're also stackable vertical. And then typically you're going to want a sub panel for the Tesla batteries. And then in your case, you have the span panel. I'd love to hear more about how you made that decision.
The span panel is designed to prioritize what runs. So when the power goes out, it can you literally in your app on your phone tell it which things should be kept on and which things should be turned off in order to lengthen the time of ability of the battery to provide recharge or to provide for the house. It could go for a day or two. With 2 batteries, it can go for 2 or 3 days, depending upon what you have on.
Right.
If it's a short power outage, the storm went through, the trees got knocked down, the power is out. You know what? That day, there's not much sunshine. But as soon as the storm clouds pass, the sun comes back out. Everybody else is down.
Yeah.
Your system transparently switched over, and your span panel, by computer control within the panel itself, you choose which circuits are on.
Remotely, you don't even
remotely.
have to be home, right? Which is nice.
First you set a profile, so it knows, even if you're not home and even if you're not online, it knows leave the freezer on, leave the fridge on, leave the heat on if it's 20 below outside, and it'll run. So this is the beauty, and that's why I chose the span panel, is because it allows you to, by computer control, prioritize your load.
So when we install solar without a battery, and the grid goes down, by electric code across America, your solar array is also going to quit producing. The inverters turn off, and that is so that we can keep the linemen safe that are trying to restore the grid. We can't be back feeding power onto the grid when something's wrong. So solar shuts off at that moment, and your home would be without power if the grid were down. With the battery, as long as solar and the battery capacity are in proper ratio, the solar is going to remain on and feeding the battery. So it creates an islanded situation. So your home has power, is continuing to harvest power from the sun, feed the battery, and feed your home loads that are connected to that battery system. So you've created a closed loop island situation and a grid out when you add a battery to a solar install. Solar arrays, batteries, span panels are all included in the Inflation Reduction Act at 30% tax credit. So if you are interested in purchasing any of those items, there will be a 30% tax credit involved.
That's this year, and it's good for till 2032, I think.
Correct. Yep.
And it's not income limited.
No income limitations on it. It's a dollar for dollar tax credit. As a general rule, as the cost of power increases, it really hastens the ROI of the whole system.
That's a good point.
So and right now, in this moment, in Excel territory, we've been going through interim rate increases for the last 3 years, and they've been hefty. So solar returns are real and good. Yeah, the more power costs, the more they have to pay you for that overage. So,
and one final thought. The motivation for this is to electrify your home. Right now, buildings, homes take up 40% or are creating 40% of the carbon footprint of the United States as a whole. And if there's one place where we can make a difference, if, like Joanne and I do, we care about those things, the key place to do that is by moving from fossil fuel sources like natural gas to electricity. And so this allows us to smoothly transit to electricity.